said all I don't know what else there is to say today.
Do you think the president should be removed from office?
Yeah, I'm not going to speak to that. You know, the ballot box is where that typically happens.
Sir, you said earlier that the president has debased the country. Can you explain a little bit more?
Look, I think the standing up in front of the American people and knows to be true. The attempted bullying that he does, which everybody sees through, just the dividing of our country, the name calling, just, for young people to be watching, not only here in our country, but around the world, someone of this mentality or as President of the United States is something that is, I think, debasing to our country. And, it's, you would think he would aspire to be the President of the United States and act like a President of the United States. But, that's just not going to be the case, apparently. And it's up to others who serve in elective capacity, whether they're governors or mayors or senators, to, try to conduct themselves in a manner that is more becoming of a leader. But he's obviously, not up to that. And, look, I've had private meetings with him, dinners with him. I've played golf with him. I've had multiple occasions where the staff has asked me to please intervene. He was getting ready to do something that was really off the tracks. And look, I've seen no evolution in an upward way. I mean, as a matter of fact, I would say it appears to me that it's almost devolving. But look, everybody has their own opinion about that, and I'm here to serve for another 14 years.
You don't think he's fit to be president? Do you think he's senator? Do you think he's
more of your colleagues speaking out the way you are?
I've been very independent, I think, the whole time that I've been up here, and I probably have a unique relationship. I've gotten to know him in a different way than a lot of senators have through this last year, and I also told the people of Tennessee that I was going to run for 2 terms, and so it gives you a sense of independence, I think, and just I was in a pretty tough business that I started when I was 25. I've been around people that have the mentalities of our current president, and have through life just learned how you deal with it.
Is he fit? Is he
in repairing your relationship with the president?
What's that?
As chair of foreign relations, how do you feel about the delayed implementation of Russian sanctions?
Or would you rather just be a check on him for the next year?
How do you feel about the delayed implementation?
I can't hear. There's so many questions at once I can't hear, but I'll see y'all at lunch, okay?
president?
All right. Bullying, name calling, dividing the country. He's not evolving. It's more like he's almost devolving. That is the very latest just now from Republican Senator Bob Corker leaving his office, getting ready to head over to the Senate lunch, where President Trump is set to head to meet with Republican senators to rally around tax reform. Again, let's see what that lunch looks like now. This all comes ahead of a crucial vote in the House as they move toward their tax reform efforts. The crucial vote in the House to happen later this week to make all this happen. Let's go there. Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger of Illinois. He's joining me now from Capitol Hill. Congressman, great to see you.
You too.
I don't know if you're going to say it's great to see me, though, but that's always yet to be seen. What's your reaction to this as it's played out this morning between Bob Corker and President Trump?
So it's like, nothing like, a good Republican food fight in front of the nation and the world right there. Look, I wish both sides. I have a lot of respect for Bob Corker. He's now outspoken, though, that he's not running for re-election. And with the president, look, a good friend of mine said once, in politics or in leadership, you can punch across or punch up, never punch down. And for the president to tweet against a senator and just like this rant, I think is wrong. There's not many in the of my Republican base and my supporters say that the president should keep tweeting. A lot of them say, I wish he'd tone down some of the personal stuff. I'm in the same boat. I wish he would tone down some of the personal stuff. This isn't helpful for tax reform. It's not helpful for our reputation in the world, and especially as Bob Corker is the head of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee. Those are some big issues coming in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, Bob Corker basically saying, you say this is not helpful for reputation before the world. Bob Corker making the case this morning that the president is not good for the nation's reputation before the world. He told Mani Raji this morning that the president has great difficulty with the truth. He's calling the president a liar. I mean, is he right? Do you agree he has great difficulty with the truth?
Well, I think there's obviously some times when he says things that are untruthful. That happens, frankly, everywhere in politics. I don't want to necessarily get into the middle of this Corker versus Trump fight, because I think, frankly, it's not good, not just for our party, but I think for the country. When it's all said and done, look, I think the president is actually doing a lot of good things internationally, and I think some of the unpredictability on Twitter with like North Korea and Iran is actually beneficial, because it's kind of this idea that we don't know where the president's going to go or what he's going to do, and I think there's some benefit to that. But, look, again, Senator Corker is being very outspoken now that he's not running for re-election, and I think both sides should just kind of take a big chill pill and take a deep breath and move on and do the business of the nation. That's what I wish, but every morning is something different.
I hear you, but as you say, you're making the case that I've heard from a lot of folks, that he is free to speak his mind because he is not looking toward re-election. Do you think as he said, do you think a lot of folks believe the same, aren't saying it because they need to get re-elected?
I don't know. So like with Senator Corker, for instance, I disagree with him when he says Trump's leading us to World War III. I think that's way overly dramatic. And I think the president has great people around him that are kind of tempering his whatever he would do internationally, giving him good advice, et cetera. No, I don't think he's like unstable and everybody's sitting around going, oh, he's unstable, we just can't say it because we're running for re-election. Where we do, though, agree, and I think we need to be more outspoken about it, is the president needs to lay off some of the emotion on Twitter, because, again, he's the leader of the free world. And sometimes you have to rise above the kind of petty politics of the moment. Because when we look back in 10 years, frankly, a lot of the debates we're having out here won't really matter. What matters is, what does the country look like? What do our kids and grandkids believe America is? And when they watch television and all they see is people down-talking America or saying that we're not what we used to be, or somebody's a dummy face, I mean, that's bad. That's bad for our politics.
There's the quote of the day. But Corker has gone a step further today in rather than just criticizing. I mean, he has declared essentially in saying, I think he has proven himself incapable to rise to the occasion. He said it in a couple different ways. He's concluded the president's term, the presidency, of failure. I mean, do you see it that way?
No, and this is, again, where I have massive disagreements with Senator Corker. I think he's a good American. I think he's done a lot of good work. But, I've seen the president rise to a lot of occasions. I think, when it comes to the chemical weapons attack in Syria, for him to give the very emotional speech he did about the kids that were suffocating to death from Bashar al-Assad's brutality, and then to strike that airfield. He's risen to the occasion on ISIS. There's a lot of things I don't agree with from the Twitter perspective, but I have seen him in really tough times rise to the occasion, and I think he has it in him. So I think, look, I'd love to see the president tone down the Twitter, but, Bob Corker, I think, is going a little too far out there, talking about World War III, failed presidency, et cetera. I don't quite understand where he's coming from with that.
Let's talk about this in the context of the here and now. Do you think this offers a good omen for tax reform?
Well, no, this isn't a good omen. But I think we can get tax reform done. This is something that, look, we understand with the failure to repeal and replace Obamacare. We've got to achieve something. This is one of the big tenets we have. And look, for Congress, the most basic thing we can do is tax and spend. We're pretty good at spending, but we have a tax code from the last millennium when nobody owned computers. So just to refresh that, renew it, and bring it to where it is today, I think we can get it done. I'd frankly hate to be on the other side of the aisle defending a tax code from 1986.
1986 was a good year.
It was.
Let me ask you this, though. The president had a conference call with you all on Sunday to talk about this. And all the reporting coming from the call was that the president said, basically, this is political survival. Because of the failure on repeal and replace, you need to pass this tax reform effort or the majorities are on the line. This is what 2018 is all about. Do you think that's the case?
I think there's some accuracy to that, absolutely. We're not doing this for the politics, but we do recognize that, you know, if we come in this and we're batting 0 for 2 at the end of this year, it's going to be hard for members of the House of Representatives or the Senate to go in front of their voters and say, hey, re-elect me so that we can go 0 for 2 again next year. So that's why this is extremely important. It's following through on our promises. We've done a lot of good things this year, but it's, you know, the big kind of headline grabbing stuff, the big stuff hasn't happened. And so, yeah, I think we need to get this done.
Just on that point, just broadly, one of the things I'm having a hard time wrapping my mind around is a Republican Party who has championed for years spending restraint, balanced budgets, revenue neutral tax reform is now becoming, it seems, very ready to support more debt and revenue neutral nothing when it comes to your tax efforts. What's changed?
Yeah, I don't disagree with you in terms of that's what we've been fighting for, and I think in this process we're going to champion that as well. We don't have the full details. If we end up with a fourth or frankly a fifth tax bracket, depending on how you look at it, and you know, with folks above $1 million, that'll cut down. If we look at the issue of state and local tax deductibility, there's a lot that's still in flux on this. We've just seen the skeletal outlines. I think once we have all the meat on the bones, which is probably going to happen this week or next, then we'll be able to analyze this. But we do realize, and there's frankly a philosophical belief, that if we get the economy rolling, that more federal revenues come in. So it may take a little bit, but ultimately that's what we believe.
Congressman, always great to have you on. Let's talk
Thanks.
Twitter again, because we will have to. Great to see you.
Sure. Take care.
Thank you so much. Coming up for us.